a backup video to the LED Zeppelin. I just played side one of this. I'm about to enjoy listening to side two with my headphones on. The stereo record can be played on mono reproducers, blah, blah, blah. I'm having trouble figuring out just when this one was issued. It's a minefield. There's just so many variations. It does have strawberry stamped on both sides, and I looked up and said, well, what's with the strawberry? That was easy to read, but the scribbles I can't read them, even with a little magnifier. Some people are saying strawberry masterings are awful or mediocre, and other people like Michael Freeman says they're astonishingly good. And well, I just listened to side one of Led Zeppelin one, and I had tears running down out of my eyes because the sound was just blows away my CD. I think it's a 2009 Jimmy Page master, and it's great. And there's people are saying, oh, but the bass is muddy, and I don't know. There's that many. There's strawberry ones that came out of Germany, France, the US, the UK. Eric Stewart of 10cc has got something to do with the strawberry imprint. So if that's the case, this one I have here, because my original US copy I had of this, I gave to my friend back in the 1980s, and that sounded fantastic. But this, I just played side one, and man, the difference. I've been listening to the Led Zeppelin through the Discman, and it sounds fine if you're sitting out the back, chain smoking and guzzling beer. But you can still tell that it's a CD. You can still tell that it's digital. Not so much on one, because one was pretty much done live in the studio. From memory, don't hit me if I'm wrong, from memory, this first album was recorded in 2 days or 20 hours or something. It's pretty much a live recording in the studio with a bit of guitar overdubs, but pretty much the vocals, the drums, it's all just done straight. And that's why it has always been and will forever remain in my top 10 greatest albums of all time. The difference between the CD, I sit out there and I go, oh yeah, it sounds good, but you're always in the back of your mind, you're going, this is digital, it's digital. And I just played side one. Oh my God, I don't know why that people are knocking strawberry. The drums and bass on this it's astonishing. It's just got atmosphere like you wouldn't believe, and it actually sounds three-dimensional, even through little Audio Technica headphones. They're better than average, but they're not the best of the best. I used to have the best of the best Sennheisers years ago. I wore them out, but on my Technics SL 1200, good stylus. I've got a decent system. It's not audiophile, but it's much better than ordinary. Let's put it that way. And it just sounded unreal. I don't think I'll be able to listen to those CDs anymore. I really don't, because I like to play it loud, you see. And I've got my little Merlin 4 speakers here, Richter Merlin 4 Australian speakers, and they can pump them out. They're bookshelf, but by God, they're made out of jarrah wood, which is like a real solid hardwood. They're beautifully insulated speakers, and they can belt. They can really belt. I don't like to advertise the fact that I've got gear in this area. There's a lot of petty thievery and drug addicts and things around here, so I prefer not to play anything I want to hear, loud through my speakers, which is a shame, but there you have it. Anyway, I'm waffling on. All I can say is I want to thank Michael in Dusseldorf, if you ever watch this, for mentioning Led Zeppelin, because I've been meaning to. I haven't played these for decades, honestly, and I know two's going to sound. I checked the two, and I think I'll be playing that one. I might play it one a week or something, so I don't get too sick of it. So I'm going to go. I'm going to play two next time, and I'll report in on them as I go. I'm not overly fussed once you go past three. Okay, yes, I do like Houses of the Holy and four and physical graffiti, but they don't grab me. Like the first two. I was 18 when they came out. Um, you know, perfect age for that sort of music. And I loved three as soon as I heard it, even though it had gone all folky, but with elements of the earlier. But I noticed that after the first two albums in particular, Robert Plant's voice sort of became very irritating to me. It seemed to get higher pitched and just stay at one high pitch all the time. Whereas on the first album, there's depth in his voice. When he screams, it's not like a girl screaming, when she's getting her hair pulled in the toilets or something. It sounds like a wounded beast almost. So not a kitten being tortured, but, I'd say a wounded wild boar. Oh, what the fuck am I talking about? So I'm about to flip it over and play side two. Yeah, there's just no comparison. The Jimmy Page Overseen Remastered CD can't touch this vinyl. Can't touch it. It's just, everything's just huge. The guitars, you can hear the things going on in the background. You get those bits where they interlace into the next song from tape echo or reverb or whatever you call it. They're the bits on the record that you miss with the CDs. That's the integral part of the sound, that you heard at the time. There's a tiny, tiny bit of crackle, but I'm listening through headphones. So if I wasn't listening through headphones, I wouldn't hear it. It's just static because it hasn't been played in decades. So I use the carbon brush, so that should help. I haven't got a hell of a lot more to say. All I can say is this has always been in my top 10 albums since I heard it. It will always be in my top 10. It's possibly the greatest debut album of all time in the hard rock world, blues rock, whatever you want to call it. And I really do prefer, when I was a kid, there were two albums that year. I mean, Electric Ladyland was another one, but that was in 68. So in 69, there were three albums that we all just swore by, just loved. In the Court of the Crimson King, Truth by the Jeff Beck Group, which came out 6 months before this. And I bought that and blew all my mates away with that one. And it was like that we worshipped Truth by Jeff Beck. And then this came out, and then it became this silly thing where which one's better, Jeff Beck or Led Zeppelin? They're both great, but Led Zeppelin is sonically far superior to Truth. And another reason why I love Led Zeppelin 1, Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck were playing together in the Yardbirds and the new Yardbirds before Led Zeppelin formed. And Jimmy Page was still under the thrall of Jeff Beck's playing style. And that's why the guitar stuff on the first album and the second one still owes a bit of a debt to Jeff Beck. And because it's got that, there's something that more human about it. And once you get further into the Led Zeppelin catalogue, it becomes a bit more, by the numbers. Don't get me wrong, I'm not, but I'm not knocking them. But there's something super, super, super special about this album to me, and it always will remain that way. And the funny thing is, I was the one who introduced my friends to Led Zeppelin. Before the album came out in Australia only, there was a single release with Communication Breakdown and Good Times, Bad Times. And I just saw a little single, a 45, on the green and silver Atlantic label one day, and I just liked the name of the band. I went, Led Zeppelin, wow, this sounds pretty cool. So I took a punt on it. I put it on, and Good Times, Bad Times. I went, holy crap, what is this? I straight away I thought, this sounds like the Yardbirds, but like mega Yardbirds. And then I saw the name Page, and I went, holy crap. Because in those days, there was no way of finding out these things in Australia. You know, the local press was only interested in, boy band gossip. You just didn't, you had to wait 3 months to get a new Musical Express or Record Mirror or whatever to come, Melody Maker, to find out what was happening like 4 or 5 months previous. So I bought that single, and everyone's going, wow. And then my friend found the album and bought the album, and oh man, it just blew us away. Blew us away. And then I was the first to buy Led Zeppelin 2. And then, of course, the first track, Whole Lot of Love, we just go, oh yeah, they're just carrying on exactly the same. I mean, that Whole Lot of Love would fit on that first album perfectly. But then the rest of the tracks were a bit hit and miss. You could tell they were getting tired already. And they're introducing sort of soppy songs, Live and Love and May. Don't get me wrong, I love Led Zeppelin too, but one is just a masterwork, truly. If they just made that one album, their reputation would probably be just as big. Anyway, let's getting on. Yep, man, that was so good, and I'm going to play side 2 now. Take care.